Dr. Hannah Sargent is by my side. We went through the rocky planets. We went through the gas and ice giants as well, broken into 4 different categories. Coming up in a little bit is the exoplanets. Like, it's kind of like the planets still to be discovered. That's, you could argue, the most exciting part of the whole thing. But listen, the big ones have been done. I think we know all about those. So let's go a bit deeper now. Our third space stop is the dwarf planets. And there you go, the old, I've got the music things broken. That was a track by Hot Mulligan called Pluto. I'm going to be honest with you, I'm kind of glad it didn't play, because it didn't mention Pluto for a long, long time. So it doesn't matter at all. And it was the only track I could find that mentioned any of them as well. So the dwarf planets then, I only know Pluto, right? So let me not even try and pronounce a huge amount of them. We're lucky to be joined now by author, screenwriter and space enthusiast KJ Field, who is here. Hi, KJ.
Hi, Colin. How are you?
Really good to talk to you. Ceres, is that right? Ceres?
Ceres?
Thank you. Eris?
Yes, Eris or Iris.
Is it Maki?
Yes, you got it.
And Hoima?
Haumea. It's a Hawaiian name.
Haumea.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's brilliant. Now, why this? So you're not a scientist, right? You then, about 8 years ago, started writing about dwarf planets, and then it's fair to say, like, it's a fascination for you now.
Yeah, I just kind of fell in love with them after the New Horizons flyby of Pluto in 2015. And I think what I realized was that a lot of times these dwarf planets are kind of relegated to the back of the textbook. You know, they're lucky if they get a chapter, maybe a little paragraph at the end. And so I just thought I would like to represent these planets more. And so I started writing about them.
I think they're interesting. One of your books is my first book on dwarf planets, A Kid's Guide to the Solar System, Small Planets, which is brilliant.
Right.
But why did people feel the need to downgrade Pluto?
Right. Well, so this happened in 2006, and it was the International Astronomical Union, which is an organization of professional astronomers. And in 2006, they voted to define the term planet. And they did it in such a way that it excluded Pluto and it excluded other small round space objects like Pluto. Now, the reason that this came about is because at the time there had been a recent explosion of discoveries in the outer solar system. So Pluto was discovered in 1930, and it wasn't until 1992 that something else out there in Pluto's neighborhood was discovered. And, suddenly we realized there's this vast third zone of the solar system. And pretty soon there's just an avalanche of discoveries. There's more and more. And finally, in the early 2000s, astronomers discovered a few objects in Pluto's neighborhood that seemed to be about the same size as Pluto. And so this really kind of spurred the question, what are all these little objects that are out there? Are they planets? Are they some kind of asteroid-like object, a real icy asteroid? Are they something else altogether?
Yeah.
And so the International Astronomical Union, one of their jobs is to name space objects, and they approve names. And so for them, they felt that they needed to know more about what these objects were before they could give them sort of appropriate names. And so they really had a strong motivation to resolve this. The problem was that at that time, there really wasn't a consensus in the scientific community for what these little objects were. There had been some strong opinions already formed, but there was no consensus. And this was the backdrop for which, this vote came about. It happened on August 24th, 2006 at their General Assembly. About 400 or so scientists participated in this, and it ended up being a definition that kicked Pluto out of Planet Club.
Wow, it's unacceptable as far as I'm concerned. It's a betrayal of every school book I had growing up. But it's about half the width of the United States. Has it got a heart? Is it Pluto that has a heart-shaped glacier?
Yes, yes, that's its most special feature, and believe me, it has many. But yeah, that heart is called Tombaugh Regio,
Wow.
named after the discoverer of Pluto. It's about 1,000 miles across, so it's really, really huge, and it's made of nitrogen, and it's so big and so bright that when the New Horizons spacecraft was traveling to visit Pluto, fly by, it could see that heart from over 70 million miles away.
Oh.
It's really just gorgeous.
Well, Dr. Hannah Sargent is with us, KJ, and
Yeah.
she's encouraging me to do these size metaphors. So is it a metaphor? Yeah, comparisons. Hannah, if Earth was the size of a 10p, how do you pronounce it again, KJ? Ceres? Ceres?
Ceres.
Ceres? Ceres
Yes.
would be about as big, Hannah, as a poppy seed.
Tiny. Absolutely tiny.
Tiny little
Tiny.
planet. Is it a planet or is it a Malteser? You tell me, Hannah. It doesn't sound that big. But why Hannah is like this a dwarf planet, but then there's things hurtling through the space we're told are massive and just missing Earth, but they don't get any classification. Is that? I know it's an ignorant question, but I mean the size of a poppy seed. If we were a 10p, and it's a thing.
So it's not really, not necessarily to do with size. So you've got these three rules that basically they came up with at the IAU. So they have so in order to be classified as a planet, it has to orbit the sun. So you might have a massive object that's just flying through the solar system, and it's not in orbit, so it wouldn't be a planet. And it has to have enough mass to form like a round shape.
Yes.
So big objects tend to be round, that's fine. But the third rule is the one that Pluto breaks, is that it needs to clear its own orbit. Now, Pluto has moons, but one of them is quite similar in size, called Charon.
Yes.
To the point where they basically orbit each other.
Yeah.
So it doesn't clear its own orbit because it's got Charon hanging on.
So is Charon then not a planet?
No, it's a moon of
But if it
Pluto.
orbits...
Yeah.
I don't get that. Like, so Pluto and Charon orbit each other, so it's like a double planet.
Yeah. So this is why pretty much within the planetary community, we're all like, can we just be done with the rules? We all think Pluto's a planet. It's all controversial.
Yeah. I love that. Right. So this is... in terms of where they are, because so far it's been really easy to follow where everything is. So is all of these dwarf planets scattered throughout the inner planets and the outer planets, or beyond them, KJ? Because up until now they've all been grouped.
Right. Well, so Ceres is the only dwarf planet in the inner solar system. It's in the asteroid belt.
Brilliant.
And the other five are that are officially recognized by the International Astronomical Union are in the Kuiper belt, or the scattered disk, Eris is. But they're, what a lot of people don't realize is probably because these are discussed as sort of non-planets, is that there are actually potentially many, many more of these in the outer solar system. Yeah. So in the Kuiper belt and in the Oort cloud.
It's brilliant. Right. Mackie's the best named one, by the way, all of them all. So there's that. There's the Hawaii, right. And there's Eris. So of those three, what one captures your fascination the most?
Well, Haumea is absolutely fascinating because it appears to be an oval-shaped planet. Oh. So it's spinning so fast that it's taken on this sort of egg shape. And
it looks like an American football, right?
Yes, it does.
Yes.
Yeah, it does.
Take that away with you tonight, folks, from the Monday Night Fan Club. A planet that spins and looks like an American football going through the air. Right. Like Patrick Mahomes is just throwing it into space. That's beautiful. That's beautiful, KJ, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's fascinating. I'd love to see a mission go to Haumea.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. Well, I mean, what interest is there, KJ, in dwarf planets in terms of discovery and missions? And I know you're enthusiastic. I said, Hannah, feel free to chip in if you know the definitive answer to that.
What interest is there? I mean, I don't know that there's anything planned for them. I would love to see something go back to Pluto because there's still far more to learn about Pluto.
Feels like it. Feels like it's been ignored a bit. What do you say, Hannah? Do we need to spend more attention here to these dwarf planets?
Yeah, I think there might be some missions heading to the not the Kuiper belt, sorry, the asteroid belt. So that's the kind of the ring of sort of just rocky material between the inner and the outer planets, and that's where some of these dwarf planets are. So that's more like accessible. The problem is the ones that are way out deeper, further out into the outer solar system, they're just harder to get to, and those missions are hard to fund.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If Earth was a 10p, would be. You bored of these yet?
No.
The size of a mustard seed, and Earth was the size of a 10p. Haumea would be the size of a sesame seed. Now I've realised I've got no knowledge of seeds, and therefore the reference is absolutely wasted on me. KJ Fields, thank you so much for bringing the dwarf planets to us. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. It was my pleasure.
Thank you. That could have been another 10, 15 minutes, couldn't it? But we've still got to do the exo